I got this book as part of Hardy Boys Casefiles Gift Set 1. The gift set contains the first 5 books in the series. Gift Set 2 has books 21 through 25. Why did they do that? They just skipped over 16 books!
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
So I just spent the past hour writing this review, and somehow it got deleted off of my computer. I'm kinda mad now, and I do not have the energy to rewrite the entire thing, so I'm just gonna make up the review as I go through my notes, okay? Sorry in advance, because this video is gonna be kind of unfocused. The story is that Frank and Joe are in New York City. Dad's old police partner, Sam Peterson, is now the chief of police, and he's running for mayor. The culprits kidnap Dad, and they send a videotape of Dad sleeping. They say, "Oh, we injected him with a deadly virus, and we're going to release the virus on the entire city and kill everyone. Give us $20 million. Ah." Luckily for our heroes, the culprit used a Japanese videotape, which is so rare that only one store in New York has it. So now we know the general area that the culprits are working out of. Frank and Joe tell Sam, and just kidding, why would they tell the chief of police vital information about the case? No, they go to the store themselves, and the clerk goes, "Oh yeah, I sold that videotape yesterday." "Well, there's the guy I sold it to, he's right there." Yeah, by coincidence, the culprit is right there at the same time as the Hardys. Lots of coincidences in this book, get used to it. So, what happens is the culprit runs away into a train tunnel, and the Hardys escape. The Hardys chase after him, and they run into the train tunnel. But then the train shows up, and Joe jumps against the wall, and by coincidence, Joe jumps right through a hidden door, which was unlocked, because why would the culprits lock the door to their hideout? That's not something culprits would do. So, the Hardys explore this room, and it's the room where the culprits are testing out their evil viruses on people. So the Hardys decide they're going to stake out this area instead of telling the police. So they're staking out the room when they get knocked unconscious by rubber truncheons. Truncheons? What's a truncheon? I don't read Hardy Boys books to learn new vocabulary. Well, the truncheon user is... I totally forget his name. Here it is. Okay, it's Peter Jones. Peter Jones is a millionaire vigilante who helps keep the streets of New York safe. And by streets of New York, I mean the underground of New York. There's a whole city underground, and he mostly helps out homeless people, protects them from gang members and mobsters and that sort of thing. So Peter Jones and the Hardys have a standoff because they don't know if they can trust each other, but then the real culprits arrive and try to kill them all. They take them through the sewer, but then water goes through the sewer, which provides a distraction, so our heroes escape through a manhole cover into the middle of a busy intersection. And if the cover art is to be believed, they're parking on the left-hand side of the street at this intersection. Well, Peter Jones shows off his cool millionaire penthouse, and the Hardys go back home, where there are 2 culprits going through Dad's police files. The culprits get the jump on the Hardys, and they hold them hostage, but then Mom shows up with a gun. Frank and Joe say, "Thanks, Mom! Could you maybe just hold these guys hostage in the basement instead of calling the police?" And Mom's like, "Sure, yeah, I'll hold them for a couple of days for you." I'm kind of worried that Mom is so fine with this plan. Has Mrs. Hardy held people hostage before? Anyway, Mom locks these guys up in the basement for a couple of days without telling anyone. Again, that's just weird. And the Hardys go through Dad's police files. They find out the culprit is Nick Trask. He was arrested 24 years ago, actually, got out on bail last year. He's out of jail, he wants revenge, and that's why he did this evil scheme. So the Hardys get help from one of Peter Jones's friends, who's a hacker. So they hack into the town's police database. They learn that Trask is working with Dr. Von Reich, so he's an evil doctor. He's the one who develops those nasty viruses. But then the police show up and go, "Hey, why are you guys going through our top secret police files?" But it's not actually the police, it's the culprits in disguise. So they take the Hardys to Trask. Trask has now become an angry meathead. He's just giant and huge and buff because he spent the last 20 years working out. Dr. Von Reich kills the Hardys by injecting them with Virus A. Not really. Virus A is actually a fake. It just knocks you out for a couple of hours. So the Hardys wake up a couple hours later and they're totally unsupervised, of course. So they get up and they explore the place. They find Dad and they're about to save him when Dad purposely gives away their location. Dad says, "Sorry, boys. I had to do it because they've got your mother. Your mother is being held hostage." No, Dad, it's the other way around. Mom is holding them hostage. Anyway, because Dad did not mention this before, like a normal person would, they get captured. The deadline for the ransom passes, and they were only able to get $5 million, not $20 million. So Trask decides he's going to kill everyone in City Hall. He releases Virus B into the ventilation system, and nothing happens. Virus B is a fake, just like Virus A. So, yeah, Dr. Von Reich was just a total jerk. He was fooling everybody the entire time. His plan was to take the money and run. And while he does run away at this point, he doesn't take the money. He just leaves the money behind. I don't understand why. That's a weird escape plan. Anyway, the Hardys escape at this point, but they're quickly recaptured. And mobsters show up. Yeah, mobsters show up. They're like, "Hey, Trask, where's the money you owe us?" "Oh, hey, there's a big pile of money that the doctor left. We're going to take this money, but you still owe us money." And so now Trask is really desperate for money. So he decides, you know what, $5 million is pretty good. So he decides he's going to take the $5 million instead of holding out for $20 million. So we have the ransom drop-off, which is really tense. And he double-crosses his partners. He's going to steal the $5 million for himself. And just when he's about to shoot the Hardys, the phone rings. And he's like, "Whoa, what's that, dude? Somebody's calling me on the phone." And that is enough of a distraction that the Hardys can just attack him. And they all start fighting him. They all start punching him at once. And the fight is pretty much a draw. It's a long fight, and they just barely manage to defeat him in this 3-on-1 fight. And remember, the Hardys are judo masters and everything. It's crazy. Dad says, "We're not out of the woods yet. We've got a bunch of mobsters out there." But no, they don't. Actually, when nobody was paying attention, Jones and his friend showed up, they beat up the mobsters, and now everything's safe. The end. Post-book follow-up. So this was not a particularly good book. I didn't like this book. The characterization in this book was off. Like, the author hadn't read any Hardy Boys books before and didn't know how the characters acted. And so we had a lot of things of Frank being a super huge nerd who never shuts up about computers. And then Joe is just an angry, violent jock who openly hates Frank, even though they both love sports normally and they're both best friends. Oh, and also Dad's out of character. Dad betrays his sons because he believes gangsters over his own children. And when I reread this book, the first time through, I was kind of annoyed by the characterization. The second time through, I was kind of annoyed by the story. It's not very well put together. It relies on a lot of coincidences. Like, we happen to find the culprit's lair by accident, and the culprit just happened to be there at the time. And there were a lot of getting saved by coincidences, too, like the telephone rang at the right moment, or sewer water came through at the right moment, or, the millionaire showed up at the right moment. He does that twice. Yeah. So, there's also the part about Von Reich. You might have noticed he disappeared and never got mentioned again. Why didn't we get a follow-up on that? That was like a drop plot point. Overall, it's just not a very good book. Definitely the worst book of the series so far. I will say that Trask was interesting. He had good characterization, so we had a legitimately good villain. That was great. The book got a lot better once he showed up, I think about 2/3 of the way through. Still, it's not a good book. It's just kind of poorly done, and I feel kind of bad because the premise of this book is amazing. The Hardy Boys team up with Batman in order to stop terrorists that are going to destroy the city. And also, Dad gets kidnapped and Mom's holding people hostage with a gun. There are a lot of good ideas which would have worked for this series because, this is basically an action series. It could have worked, but in this book, it just did not work, and it was just a failure all around. I give Hardy Boys Casefiles number 5, Edge of Destruction, a 2 out of 10. The 2 points being Mom was awesome, and Trask was pretty good too. And if you like this book review, I take commissions on Patreon. Just click on the link, it's on your screen. I'll take you to my Patreon page, and you can pay me to review whatever book you want.